So I just want to welcome you all to my Avoiding Senior Scams Town Hall. I want to thank all of the staff at the West Flamingo Senior Center for opening up their facility for us. And before we get started, I also want to introduce my staff. Michael Cortez Klein, who's in the back, is my district director. And Jerry Schroeder, who many of you probably know, is also my district rep as well. And just want to open this up to say, if you ever have an issue, not just with the scam, but with Social Security, if you're a veteran, I see a veteran in the house, thank you very much, with Medicare, anything, and you don't know where to turn, you can always call my office. You can go on my website, you can text it, write an email, because we are here to help. And we have caseworkers on staff who handle these issues all the time for constituents. And it's one of the things that I am most proud of, because I have an incredible staff who works very, very hard making sure we help our constituents solve problems that they're facing. Before we get started, I just want to say we will be taking questions at the end. Again, this is a town hall that is about senior scams. I know many of you may have questions for me about what's going on in Washington. We're going to try to limit the questions to the topic at hand, but I want you to know I will be having a town hall in August. And at that point, we can answer those questions. But if you do have those questions, feel free to write them down. We probably won't get to them today, but I will be more than happy to send you an email in response. So thank you all for being here. I want to just shout out the people who are here, our experts. First, like I said, Veronica Reyes, who with the Flamingo Senior Center. Come in here. Come in. I mean, this is an incredible woman putting on some great programs. Look at this turnout. Thank you, Veronica. Annie Walters, Social Security Administration. Yeah, Sergeant Sean Killeen with LV and MPD, Spring Valley Command. Shania Epps with Preferred Benefits Partners. Chelsea Croton, did I say Croton? Croton with Senior Law Program. And this is an incredible program that I just toured just like a month ago. And I'm like, this is such a great resource in our community, so I'm so glad that she's here so you all can understand how she can help you. Courtney Lee with Nevada Legal Aid, another incredible nonprofit helping people in our community. Samantha Feely, the Deputy Attorney General, and Meredith Delanoy, the Nevada Fellow with the Attorney General's Office. As I said, every single day across this country, I can't even tell you how many robocalls I get. And people fall victim to identity theft, robocalls, credit card fraud, social media, fake promotions, and of course seniors are the top list of those attempting to be scammed. My mother, who passed away a few years ago, received one of these calls where someone called her and said, "Hi, I'm your grandson," and she said, "Is this Kyle?" And he's like, "Yeah, it is Kyle," or something like that. I mean, he sort of led her into it and then claimed that he was in Spain or somewhere and needed her to wire him money. Some of these are pretty typical, we've heard of. Some of them are a little more disguised, and so we're going to talk a little bit about those. Nevada, sadly, reports the highest amount of fraud victims per capita in the nation. But we're going to change that, and I know all of these experts are committed to doing that. Identity theft is the #1 scam reported, and the most common type of identity theft is government documents or benefits fraud. So never give your Social Security number over the phone. People will call saying your Medicare is at risk if you don't do something. Generally, it's best to say, give me your phone number and I'll give you a call back. And pretty much they probably hang up. So last year, 90,000 people over the age of 60 lost more than $3 billion in the US, an 84% increase. So there's some scams that have been around for a long time, and then emails, as we know, are a very, very popular way for scammers to get your personal information. But every single day, they're trying to stay one step ahead of us. And so robocalls have become so sophisticated that the medical profession has been targeted as well. So this is something that's impacting all of us. In 2019, Congress passed legislation to mandate new caller ID framework, which requires telephone companies to verify the caller ID information that shows up on your phone actually matches the caller's real phone number. This is an important step, but we still have much more work to do, which is why I co-sponsored the Do Not Call Act of 2023. I also helped send a letter to the FCC to take action to stop robocalls and explore if they need more power to stop these scams. The good news is there's tools and resources available to prevent you from becoming a victim, and there's ways to help yourself if, unfortunately, you do. I brought together experts, so enough about me. I don't want to talk. We need these experts to talk to you. So I'm going to start off with Annie Walters, who's the Public Affairs Specialist in Nevada with the Social Security Administration, and she's going to talk to you about some popular, I guess unpopular, Social Security scams. Here you go.
Thank you, Congresswoman Cicely, and thank you so much for being in attendance today. So there's a lot of identity fraud that's going on and affects millions of people at this point in time, whether it affects you financially or emotionally. It is still harmful regardless. So we came up with 10 ways, so hopefully that you can think about how to protect yourself, all right? So we're gonna go over it now and see. Please make sure, hopefully every hand is going to be down. You did not carry your social security number today with you or your card. Yay, I see no hands, this is good. So yes, that's actually one of the ways. Do not carry your social security card, whether you keep it in a safe place. It's a safe, or maybe in your drawer. Maybe you have a place where you can just have it for emergencies, all right? Keep it where your travel documents are or your birth documents are. And really, it's not an everyday document that is necessary to carry around. It's for official business use only. So keep that in mind. Also, scammers, like Congresswoman Susie mentioned, that even though on your caller ID, this phone number could appear legitimate, and they could use real official names because all they have to do is just do a Google search, and then they have technology to match that number to that name. So you just have to be really careful sometimes that even though the numbers may seem legitimate on your caller ID, just be really careful in terms of offering any of your information. If you ever feel threatened, simply just hang up. Create really strong passwords, not just the same one that you have for your Hotmail account, your Google account. You want to make sure to have it and keep it in a safe place so that you can work back and figure out which passwords that you need. I know it's a little bit cumbersome. We are in the day and age of technology, and you will have to create stronger passwords, okay, and different ones for that matter. All right, never ever give your personal or financial information to unsolicited calls. And never ever post your information on social media. You'll be surprised, I do go on our Social Security blog and people have problems sometimes. I don't know why they do it, but they post their full Social Security numbers on there. So we try to take that information down as quickly as possible, but beware wherever you post your information. And if you can invest in a shredder, please shred your Social Security numbers. If it has your date of birth on there, we get a lot of solicited mail that might have very pertinent information on there as well. So just a few more things. On your mobile device, a lot of us have smartphones. You want to make sure to put a PIN number on there. If you were to ever lose your phone, that you probably have very pertinent information that is available, so you want to keep that as safe as possible. And make sure you check your financial accounts even on a monthly basis to verify, hey, does this transaction look anything suspicious? And you know, just like everybody here, I've been a victim of that as well. I don't gamble, but then online there was a gambling fee that was charged onto my account, and luckily I noticed it. And all the bank did was just question me, very tiny amounts, but you know, they start off with dollar amounts first, right? And they start increasing higher and higher until they realize that you're not paying attention, and it turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars on your accounts. So just be really mindful and careful about that. So just last three that I wanted to mention before I go into Social Security benefits is that you have to create really or install strong antivirus on your computers, all right? Update it when you need to. Don't use outdated systems. If you do, you will not protect against all these new technology that's coming out at this point in time. Again, back to the whole social media. If you're no longer using that account, just simply delete it. Don't just ignore it, okay? Because then that allows the scammers to be able to figure out that password and recreate that account again to make sure that they can scam their friends to think that, hey, you know what, I met you 20 years ago, remember me in high school, things like that, you know? So you just want to be really aware that even though you open up a legitimate account, you don't use it anymore, just go ahead and close that information out. Here's the thing, we have a website, it's with ssa.gov. If you go onto our site, you can create a My Social Security account, all right? When you create this account, you have full access to your files. You can even also say, I created the account, and now I want to block it, so no one else can create the account and start some transaction under that account. So you can absolutely do that. So if you do not have an account, or you do not want to have to access to it, you're welcome to just come in our office or create it online, and we'll be more than happy to block that account for you. So next, talk about Social Security benefits. Here's some just really quick tips before I turn it on to our next speaker. Here, we will never ever threaten you, okay? So if you have business with Social Security and we contact you, it's never out of the blue. Maybe you have contacted us and you needed an appointment. Maybe you needed a question answered. We will contact you back. It could be a couple of days, it could be, I don't know, a week down the line, but either way, we will contact you. So we will never promise to increase your benefit without telling anybody or keep it in secret, okay? We don't make promises like that in return for, like, let's say, hey, if you buy this gift card, I can increase your payments. So we normally don't increase payments until the big COLA comes out, right? The cost of living adjustment that comes out every year. So that's pretty much when the benefits will increase. And we will never ever demand things from you. If you ever feel threatened, you can always tell us to send you a personal letter, and we'll be more than happy to send you that information. It'll have a logo, just like my sweater on it, that has the Social Security information. So if you have ongoing business, know that the calls can be legitimate. Just because it doesn't come up as Social Security doesn't mean that it can be a scam call, but be very ready. And if you have to, simply hang up. If you happen to be a subject to fraud, which is a really sad day, please contact us at oig.ssa.gov. So that's all the information that I want to share with you guys today. Hopefully you will take these tips, make sure that you share with your friends, family, and loved ones to ensure that you will not fall victim to become one of the an identity fraud or Social Security benefits being taken away from you guys, okay? So thank you for your time today. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you, Annie. I just wanted to say, when you walked in, if you didn't get a card, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. One of my staff members will bring a card over, and you can write the question down. So, or if you wrote the question down, you want a mentor to pick it up, we'll grab it from you. Next, I have Sergeant Sean Killeen from Las Vegas Metro. He gets a few calls. We get a few calls every day, right? But I'm so honored to have our Metro representative here, and thank you for all you do for our community.
Thank you, Beth. How you doing this morning? Everything by the week? Okay, so there's a couple of things that Metro sees when it comes to our seniors, who, by the way, we love and we're very protective of all of you. I myself, my dad's 76 years old. He's a Vietnam vet, and my mother too. And they're not really savvy when it comes to electronics and being on social media and whatnot. So it makes them easy prey for these predators. And I just want to say these predators aren't really local people that you're talking to. They're from all over the world. So that poses another issue for us too when it comes to jurisdiction and us being able to actually look for these people and hold them accountable. But what I'm seeing mainly from the seniors is, and my neighbor fell victim to this as well. A few years ago, before AI, you're all familiar with artificial intelligence now. There's artificial intelligence apps that can be purchased online. You could go take these apps, have a soundbite of someone, say, you know, your grandkids and maybe your children, they're always on social media. They're taking videos of themselves. They're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. So what this AI software does is it provides a sample to this AI software. So these bad guys take the sample of your loved ones and they put it into the software and they're able to manipulate the voice of that person. So they can make it sound like your grandchild, your daughter. It'll sound just like her. They can also create emotion in the voice as well using this software. So what happened to my neighbor was, it was more of a voice actor situation, because before AI, they used to use voice actors or somebody who's just really horrible at impersonations. So what they did with this particular neighbor of mine was they sampled the granddaughter's voice, and they said, I'm being held against my will. I just give them what they want, help me, and then they made a scream in the background that sounded just like her. Well, this terrified them. It was about 9 o'clock at night. So what they did was, the bad guys asked them to go to the bank in the morning, withdraw as much money as they could, at whatever it was, $3,000 or $6,000. And then what they're doing now is they're making you go, you ever see these little Bitcoin kiosks wherever you go? So you can exchange currency on these Bitcoin machines quite easily. And there's nobody really regulating this stuff. So you can put $3,000 in a machine and it converts it to Bitcoin, and it'll send it to wherever you want, anywhere in the world. So that's what happened. They sent this money. They lost upwards of $6,000 because they truly thought that their grandchild was in trouble. I would advise, if you ever receive a phone call like that, be suspicious. Anything you get over a telephone, you should always be suspicious. That's the one main point I want to make to our seniors. And just be aware of this AI technology. They can clone any voice they want. I can take your voice right now, go out to my car, put it in my app, and I can type in things and make your voice say what I want. So I want you to be wary of that. Also contact police if you're really unsure. If you think there's a kidnapping situation, I mean, more than likely it's not going to be legitimate, but there's always that little chance that so let us come out, let us see what you have, contact information, and we'll vet it from there. But the other scam I'm seeing with our seniors is the fake IRS callers. They're still all over the place. Has anybody had an experience with that yet? With IRS calling? Yeah, IRS will never, ever, ever call you and ask for money. They'll never tell you that you have a warrant. There's no warrant for IRS. There's no IRS cops that are going to come look you up at your house. Total baloney. So if they ever call up, sometimes you'll hear an accent in their voice and you'll know that it's not legitimate. Okay, they're somewhere else. They're on the other side of the world trying to get your money. So we've been seeing an increase of they're getting a little brazen now. They're starting to learn Metro lingo. So they'll say, my P number is this, because every Metro officer has to, at request, provide you with the name, P number, and rank. So whenever you ask me, they're starting to do that now. They're starting to make up fake P numbers. And I got a call and I had fun with them. I had fun with them for about 2 hours. I've never seen one that's called. So I told them I'll meet them over at headquarters. And I said, we'll have a chat. It didn't go too well. He started cursing at me and getting frustrated. So that's a big thing. The other thing is, recently, you know, I hold events at senior centers all the Spring Valley area. I don't want any of our seniors to ever be alone. When you go shopping, when you're going out doing your errands, you know, in the military we call it a battle buddy. Have a battle buddy. Have somebody with you at all times. We're seeing a lot of people that are going to the store alone and they're getting victimized. And I don't want that to happen. Now, if they do, I will find them, and there's an enhancement for any crimes against the elderly. So, but I just want to try to prevent it by stressing that point. I want you to go out with family, friends, groups. Try not to be alone. Our town we have a mass influx of people from all over right now. We have a population explosion. We're trying our very best. And if you know any grandkids that want to be cops, we're recruiting. We need help. We're down, we have 10 area commands. I'm down about 400 cops right now. I'm budgeted for 400 more cops and I can't find any. So we're trying. Same with dispatchers. So Metro is trying its very best to do, we're working with more. Less people, more stuff. Seems like it's like the story everybody. But I know you have questions at the end. I'll stick around if you have any. I brought one of my officers here to help me out with that as well, in case you have any questions. And we also have contact and resource information. If you have specific questions, I may be able to give you a website or a phone number, whatever you're dealing with. But I want to thank you on behalf of the sheriff and new Captain Katie Geiger, who just took over Spring Valley Area Command. She's fantastic. She's very approachable. If you ever have a problem, you can contact her direct, and I can give you that information as well.
Thank you.
But no, I wanted to thank you, and I hope to speak to you afterwards. Thank you very much.
I was at a medical fair a while back, and I ran into Preferred Benefits Partners and found out of all the great resources they provide our community. And so now I'm happy to introduce Shania Epps to have her tell you some of their tips on preventing fraud. Here you go, Shania.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited to speak to you today. I want to say thank you to Jerry Schroeder and Congresswoman Suzuki for having me. I have a lot to cover, so I'll get started just by introducing myself. My name is Shania Epps. I'm a licensed insurance representative here in town. I've been in Vegas local since I was 4. And I'm really passionate about education. Events like this are so important, and so is Preferred Benefits Partners. We do events like this all the time, and we offer an array of services at no cost at all. Lots of educational talks, healthcare benefits analyses, things like that. So in this line of work, we see a lot of these manipulative tactics, and I want to start with a first set of funeral and prepaid funeral package scams. So in the funeral space, I hate to talk about it because it's so morbid, but it does happen. So a lot of funeral homes will sometimes offer you a prepaid funeral package and offer you to pay for your funeral ahead of time. And then they might go out of business and you're out of the money that you gave them. A lot of funeral homes will sometimes upsell, so they'll only show you the most expensive options and not tell you that there are cheaper options available. Things like that. So some tips to prevent yourself from falling victim to these scams are just make sure you're dealing with a reputable and a stable funeral home. Never be afraid to ask family members and friends for referrals. There are lots of alternatives to prepaid funeral packages, life insurance, payouts, payments for funeral expenses. They have things called payable upon death accounts, basically a bank account you pay into, which is not accessible until you pass away and the beneficiary can decide what to do with the funds. You don't always need a funeral to be in that prepaid, planning process, but if you do really want them to be involved, then just make sure you're dealing with the reputable source. Next scams I want to get into are charity and investment scams. These are huge, unsolicited phone call scams. Charity scammers love to use names that are very similar to reputable charities. For example, you might have heard of Doctors Without Borders. They might call themselves Doctors with No Borders and hope you won't notice. They love wire transfer, Bitcoin, these untraceable methods of payment, cash, gift cards are huge. You might see a lot of seniors getting calls and people telling them to go to Target and pay via Apple gift card. So be wary of any offer or any unsolicited contact that's pressuring you to give or invest, especially via these untraceable payment methods. There was a saying that I learned in school, and it's the more offers you see for a financial product, the less money it's going to make you. I think a great example of that is you don't see a lot of ads for 401ks and IRAs, but you get a lot of mail for personal loans and credit card offers, and we all know which one of those is going to make you more money in the long run. So again, we've already heard from a lot of great speakers saying, be careful of those unsolicited offers, and that's another one example of that. And I want to get into our specialty for benefits partners, which is healthcare. And you guys might have a lot of thoughts on that. So first I want to start with who has seen the Joe Namath commercial? The Medicare commercial. It was huge during COVID. I saw a couple of hands. This was a very popular commercial during COVID when everyone was at home sitting watching TV. And I want to talk a little bit about Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. In 2020, I believe they received 15,000 complaints about Medicare Advantage. In 2021, after everybody was home watching these commercials, they received 40,000. So it more than doubled in complaints after a year when these commercials were running rampant. So I want to talk a little bit about both TV commercials and online ads, ads you'll see on Facebook or YouTube. There's handouts that have our logo on it. You can take it back there. You'll see a screenshot. It's really small, but it's of an ad that appeared on my grandfather's phone. And in big bold letters it says, get up to $3,300 in Medicare spending allowances. And just like the Joe Namath commercial, it uses red, white, and blue coloring, just like your Medicare card. And it directs you to a 1-800 number. So I want to highlight the red, white, and blue coloring because they're kind of trying to insinuate they're affiliated with Medicare. And these are private enrollment centers, big call center filled with enrollees somewhere in the Midwest. These 1-800 numbers get calls from all over the country. They're not specialists here in Nevada, they're not local. They don't know the markets here. I want to highlight something that my grandfather asked me. My mother's been a broker for several years. I've been a broker for several years. And he's probably learned more about insurance than he's ever wanted to in his whole life, just by being around this. But even with his knowledge, after seeing this ad with big bold letters, $3,300, he asked me, is it true? Can I get that? Is this legit? And I don't say that to knock my grandfather because he has the knowledge that he needs, but these ads are designed to make you just curious enough to call that number. And their primary goal, once you're on that number, is to get you on something that you are not on already. So these claims are legitimate. It does spark your curiosity. Can you get 3,000 in spending allowances? And I want to talk to that a little bit because this event is about education. And these complaints are going to keep increasing if we don't educate people about what's really out there. So can you get dental? Can you get vision? Can you get meals? Can you get 3,000 in spending allowances? Maybe. That's the short answer. Again, these are 1-800 numbers getting calls from all over the country. These are not local numbers. These ads are going all over. So when you call, they plug in your zip code and they see what they can put you on. They don't check your doctors and meds or see if whatever care plan that you're on is going to be continued. And if you have an issue with your insurance later, they say call customer service. It's not a personalized experience. When it comes to those claims, let's start with 3,000 in spending allowances. Can you get that? There are plans that are available, but they are only available to a very specific set of people who are often already on low income programs. So you might qualify, you might not, but they put that in the ad to get you a call. Another thing is, can I get money back on my Social Security check? That is a plan that's available here in Clark County. There are multiple plans that offer that, but is it in your best interest? Those plans sometimes they don't even have drug coverage. So like, hey, you call, I heard I can get money back on my Social Security. Yeah, we'll put you on it, no problem. Now you don't have drug coverage. Things like that. So there are plans like this available to you, but you have to meet with somebody who is an expert in your area to know that if those plans are beneficial to you, then you can go on. So I want to talk about just real quick a couple of other non-compliant sales tactics. If you get the handout, there will be a list, but one of the ones that I want to point out, which I think a lot of people don't know, is agents are not allowed to contact you about Medicare Advantage without your written permission first. If you go up to an agent and ask them, that's totally fine. But if you're getting calls out of the blue like, hey, you know, you might be turning 65, what are you on? What are you considering? Are you considering Medicare Advantage? That is totally out of compliance, and that is an unscrupulous agent who's not following CMS rules. So I recommend ceasing communication with people like that, especially, you know, sometimes people even knock on doors and ask about Medicare Advantage. Totally not allowed. You are technically supposed to have written permission to call somebody if they don't contact you first. Another thing is impersonation, huge. People pretending that they're from Social Security or they are employees of CMS, and they say that their plan is endorsed by Medicare, and Medicare will never endorse a plan. They will rate plans on a very objective set of criteria. They will never say, go on this plan on behalf of Medicare. Those are some of the most popular tactics, but you can go and pick up a handout for more. And I want to close out, I've been talking her off. I want to close out with just some tips to wrap it up. So, and this applies to all the scams that we talked about today. Charity, investment, funeral homes. Never act on emotion. You're probably going to hear that from more speakers today. Never act fast. People who are pressuring you are not legitimate charities or business owners or agents. They're going to welcome you to do your research or ask as many questions as you want or take the time to think about the decision that you're making. That's what a legitimate entity will do. Again, don't give out personal information like your address, Medicare number, Social Security number over the phone, especially over the phone. And remember, TV and internet ads will never replace the value of a local broker. I say that because I'm a local broker, but again, we are huge on education, and we are seeing the increase in manipulation, especially of our senior population in the Medicare space. So what we want is people to utilize the local brokers. There's so many great brokers here in town that are going to service you better than these 1-800 numbers will. So with that, I want to thank you guys again. I hope you got something valuable out of that, and I'm looking forward to the Q&A after.
Thank you. So obviously getting scammed is a crime, and as being a victim of a crime, you'll want to get some legal advice. And that's what our next guest here, Chelsea Croton with the Senior Law Program, will help you with.
Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea Croton. I'm one of the senior staff attorneys at the Southern Nevada Senior Law Program. My office offers free legal services to anyone that is 60 and over and a resident of Southern Nevada. We do not income and asset test to qualify for our services. You just have to meet those two criteria of being 60 and over and a resident of Southern Nevada. With regards to scams, we have 2 dedicated staff attorneys who will see you on a one-on-one, 1-hour appointment or longer, but that initial appointment is going to be 1 hour, to advise you on your facts if you are a victim of a scam. Whether a demand letter needs to be sent out to financial institutions or any other interested party, we advise you on the administrative complaints. So much of the scams that we see are intertwined with identity theft. So we also advise you on the legal repercussions of any potential identity theft, to reach out to the Attorney General's office, to sign up for that identity theft passport or ID, filing with the FTC, administrative complaints, credit agencies, contacting Social Security, things like that. So we intertwine that with that original and initial appointment. Myself, I take care of my mom, so I always tell her about these scams that I see coming through my office. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. It's gotten to the point that my mom likes to sort of mess with the scammers, so I understand that as well. Especially solar. Solar is definitely something, and I know another one of our panel is going to discuss that. I'm not a huge fan of solar, so she goes to Home Depot and starts to mess with the Home Depot solar people. So education for our office is key. That is the best bet. Jurisdictionally, it's hard to pursue people that are obviously not in this country. So getting the information out there, getting seniors informed is our biggest goal with our office. If you want to explore legal services or any of our legal services, I've got tons of brochures. I can talk to you one-on-one after the event. Come see me and come see our office. Thank you.
Thank you. Along these lines, our next guest is Courtney Lee with Legal Aid of Southern Nevada.
Thank you, Congresswoman Lee. Thank you to Ms. Schroeder and the rest of the staff and everyone who's organized this wonderful event. Thank you all for attending. We do appreciate it. My name is Courtney Lee. I am the directing attorney of the Consumer Rights Project of Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. Legal Aid Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We provide free legal services to income eligible Clark County residents. So if you're income eligible and you have any legal needs, please come see us. Now I'm going to talk about solar panels today. Now everyone knows what solar panels is, right? They're those large square panels that a contractor will install on your home, and simply put, they are to convert the sun's energy into power for your home. So the typical scenario is some salesperson comes knocking at your door or rings your doorbell, and they target the seniors because you guys are usually retired and you're at home, and they say, hey, do you want to save money on your power bill? And who doesn't want to save money on your power bill? So you say yes. Well, how about some solar panels? And they tell you that if you're a little reluctant and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, they'll say, well, you can get a large tax credit. And they'll try to pressure you into purchasing these solar panels. And then they'll say, if you still don't want to do it, then they'll say, oh, we have this great financing program. And so then they'll convince you to sign, and they'll typically have these handheld devices or these iPads, and they'll have you digitally sign your signature. And I would not recommend that at all because you're not seeing what you're signing, and there are all sorts of problems affiliated with that without providing you a copy of the solar agreement. So some of the complaints that we received, and we're hoping that this will all be obviated by the passage of SB 293, which is set to go into effect January 1st, 2024. And they offer some consumer protections regarding solar panels. So they're supposed to make sure that you are who you say you are, so confirm your identity. They're supposed to also make certain that you understand the terms of the agreement, and they're also supposed to give you the right in 16-point font to cancel or rescind the solar contract within 3 business days. Okay, so hopefully some of the complaints that we've been seeing will be obviated by that, but what we've seen are that some solar panels are not installed at all. So they don't even install these solar panels on your home. The solar panels are installed, but they don't work. They never receive a tax credit, so they're complaining, well, you know, I only receive a fixed income, so they don't even tell you that the tax credit is only to the extent of taxable income. They also say there's little to no reduction of the power bill. In one case, the power bill from Nevada Energy went from $300 a month without the solar panels to over $600 a month with the solar panels. Now, I can't understand this because you would think that there's some sort of offset, but we're still investigating. There's also a bait and switch of terms. So they'll promise you a low monthly payment of like $200, but then in actuality, it's $400. Or they say, oh, well, the solar panels will be $60,000, but then when you look at your contract, it's actually $100,000. So they're doing a lot of bait and switches. The terms are usually from 10 to 30 years, so it's a long-term commitment. They also might have some sort of credit application fraud. So the person that is applying for credit, say you don't have very good credit, they'll say, oh, no problem. And then they'll actually use someone with good credit with a similar name. So somebody else is being a victim of identity fraud. So it's ridiculous. Or they might indicate an income that you didn't actually state. So how to avoid these kinds of solar panel issues in your life? First of all, if you're on a fixed or a limited income, do not answer the door. Simply don't come to the door. It's probably a good idea, especially if you are living home alone and you don't know the person. It's probably always a good idea not to answer the door anyways. But if you believe that it's being rude not to answer the door and you have to answer the door, then go ahead and answer the door and say thank you, but no, I'm not interested, right? The options if you've already signed a solar contract. So say you've already been duped into signing a solar contract and now you're stuck. Well, if you signed it in the last couple of days, send a notice of rescission or cancellation within 3 business days. That is always a right with door-to-door sales. So if you have already signed a solar contract and it's been only a couple of days, go ahead and rescind it or cancel it to the address that they've indicated. Make certain you receive a complete copy of the contract and make the required payments. If you cannot make the payments and are collection proof, which means that is, you have a fixed income and there are no garnishable assets or wages, then stop your payments, because if you can't afford it, you can't meet your other daily needs or housing needs or food, then go ahead and stop your payments. Bankruptcy might be another option. If you are income eligible, you may come to legal aid and ask us for assistance. And what we do is we serve a demand letter on the solar company, the financing company, or the person who installed your solar panels, and we demand that they unwind the deal if they engaged in some unfair or deceptive trade practice. So if they did anything wrong, or they misrepresented something to you, we can try to get the deal or the contract unwound, but that's going to be a very slim possibility. If the solar company failed to install the solar panels, or they were installed and they're defective, they don't work, then we'll help you with the filing of a Nevada Contractors Board complaint, because they have to be licensed with the Contractors Board, and there's a bond that you can actually claim against. We will also file a complaint on your behalf if there was a deceptive or unfair or other violation of law. So we can file a complaint in state or federal district court on your behalf to sue the companies for the solar panels that you're not receiving the benefit of your bargain, or any other violation. So, if financing can't be violated, the financing disclosures or other misrepresentation, you may file a complaint with FID, which is the Financial Institutions Division, or CFPB, which is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. You may also file a complaint with the Consumer Division of the Attorney General's Office. So, some of the consequences of defaulting on your solar panel complaint or payments, the solar company, financing company may report the delinquent account on your credit report. You may be sued. You may have a lien filed against your home. So that's the most serious. So we don't want that. So the final key takeaways: do not enter into a solar contract if you are on a fixed or limited income, because the cost benefit of it, you won't likely achieve any cost savings and will only place you on a debt treadmill that you can't get off. Do not sign anything that you don't understand or that you haven't read thoroughly through. So we are always telling you as lawyers, do not sign anything that you don't understand or that you haven't read completely. And please, if you do want to enter into a solar contract, please contact an attorney to review it prior to signing it, okay? And if you do sign a solar contract, please obtain full copies of them, front and back pages, all of the fine print, and make certain you know what you're getting into and to comply with all of the payment terms. If you have any further questions, we look forward to your after question and answer. I'll turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you.
The good news is we have resources in our community to help you with Nevada Legal Aid and the Senior Law Project, and also with the Attorney General's Office. And so I now introduce Samantha Feely and Meredith Delanoy, who are going to explain what to do if you have been scammed. What can we do, and what are our legal rights?
Thank you, Congresswoman Susan Lee, and everyone else who's come on this panel, and for you and coming here to hear us speak. We are with the Office of the Attorney General, the Bureau of Consumer Protection. Our job is to help represent and protect the consumers of Nevada. My legal intern, our staggered fellow, Meredith, is here to talk to you about what happens after you've gotten scammed.
Great. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Almost Friday, so that's good. My name is Meredith. I'm an intern with the Attorney General's Office in the Consumer Protection Department. So today I'm going to inform you guys on, you've been here, you've received a lot of information, you've heard a lot about scams, so now what can you do if you've been the victim of scams? So the first thing is you need to report it. The only way that we're here to serve the consumers, and the only way that we can be here to investigate these scams, to eliminate these scams, to make sure that these scams go away from our Nevada consumers, is if we know about them. So you're doing the right thing to be here today, because the best prevention is information. So to gather that information, we need, particularly our seniors who are most prevalent to the scams that we're seeing nowadays, is to report them. Like our law enforcement liaison here said, you can report this to your local law department or law enforcement. You can report it to the Office of the Consumer Bureau of Consumer Development. And you can file a complaint. So you're getting these calls, they're representing certain companies, they're making representations to you. Memorialize this information and definitely make a complaint to the respective bureau. What else can you do? Now that you can also, if there are any liens against your credit or stuff like that, like we talked about with the solar scams, you can also contact your credit card department to make sure that these scams are not getting memorialized and they're not keeping your money. Like the fellow speaker said today, we're seeing the bulk of the scams being texts and robocalls. Those are being called no matter who you are, really. It's affecting seniors, it's affecting everyone. Don't answer the phone. These scammers are preying on your fear, your curiosity, and your urgency. And if there is an issue that you're being represented to you over the phone, it's probably not that big of a deal to get it done today. Hang up the phone. Don't be led by your emotions. Don't be led by your fear. Follow up on calls. So, like our law enforcement agent was saying today, if they're purporting to be your grandparent, your daughter, your husband, whoever it is, hang up the phone and verify with them. Make sure that this is a good contact. Make sure you have trusted people in your life, in your family that you can verify with, so you're not going to be the victim of scams. But what I've come to say, and what is the bulk of our information from the Consumer Protection Department, is that we need to report this information. The only way that we're going to be able to eliminate these scams is to get the information on these bad actors and able to follow up on that. So if you have any questions, we'll be here from the Attorney General's office on how you can file a complaint. All of our other speakers here also have viable systems in place for you to file a complaint if you are the victim of scams. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said again, we have cards in the back if you need. The best prevention is knowledge. So make sure that you're staying up to date. Don't be led by your fear and any sense of urgency. And we're always here to help if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Before you all leave, there's information in the back of the room. We have representatives from AARP who are here to share information with you. There's a pamphlet from my office, which is information from the Social Security Administration on common scams. And again, always remember that my office is a resource. My phone number is, write it down if you have it, 702-963-9336, or you can go to susielee.gov. That information will be on there. Send us an email. But please, don't ever hesitate to call our office. We welcome anyone in the community. We want to be there to help. And as you all know, all of these experts up here in their organizations are available as well. All right, well, thank you all for being here. I want to thank our experts and these public servants who are on the front lines. We're here to help. I think this was an incredibly important event. Hopefully you're walking away with some information equipped from the barrage of attempts to get your money. Know that you have people on the front lines willing to help you out. And help you prevent becoming a victim, and if you do become a victim, to be there first and foremost. Just don't give your information over the phone. Number one, it's pretty simple. But anyway, thank you all for coming.